Are you searching for information on opening a medical spa business and making it profitable within your first year? Or are you thinking about buying an existing medical spa business or even selling one? In this video series, we showed our social media audience how to succeed in their business journey and with sound and timeless strategies we've been using for over 20 years. We've used these strategies to grow aesthetic medical practices to seven-figure sales and beyond. We've decided to post this valuable information on YouTube because these timeless strategies might be just the thing you need to grow your business and succeed in the coming months and years. Let's get started.
I want to share a little bit about business plans can be made for a lot of different reasons. So let's start here. As Simon Sinek would say, your why is really important to your career and the choices you make and everything in your life, right? Your why. Well, that applies to business plans as well, because why you're making a business plan has everything to do with what the most important parts of your business plan should be. So there's three main types of business plans. The first type is maybe you are trying to get venture capital or investors into your idea to start up one or a chain of med spas or multiple offices for your plastic surgery or your elective medical, maybe chiropractic, whatever you're trying to do. So that is one type, and that is getting capital, whether it's getting from a venture capital, which is one type. So venture capital investments. The second type is you are just trying to create it for yourself and your team to run or grow your business in a strategic way. And that has its own elements and does not have some of the other things that you need for a venture capital pitch. And the third very common way is to get a small business loan or a banking loan to either start or possibly grow or expand your business that you have now. So maybe you want to get a bigger building, maybe you want to do some expansion plans, things like that. So hopefully that makes sense to you, because your why is really going to determine what the essential key elements are of your business plan. Every business plan has to have an overall financial planning performance. Every business plan has an organizational chart with the roles. You always need to have your services and what makes you unique and a brief market SWOT analysis or competition analysis, right? But if you're getting into something like venture capital, where you need to show a certain ROI, that's usually like an 8 to 10x return on their investment. So say they give you $3 million over the next 6 to 10 years, they are going to want an 8 to 10x return on that investment, because one thing that a lot of us don't know until you get in the pool, the venture capital pool, which I've done for several different clients along the way, they only expect 2 out of 10 deals to actually give them a return. Therefore, you need to provide something very impressive like an 8 or 10x return on their investment. So venture capital is the very most expensive money. You will do the most work to get that. It is different than a small business loan or a bank loan, and it's very specific. So if we start there, the main difference is when you create that pro forma, you are going to show the very, very highest and best that you think you can possibly do. It might even be on the edge of unrealistic. That's okay. That's what they're assuming. They will want you to be very thorough about what makes you unique, which markets you should go into, and doing quite a lot of research into those different market areas for costs of rent and costs of staffing and all of those things, okay? So you're going to get into how am I going to roll out 1 or 2 or 3 of these? How often do I need to do more of them? And what do I need to do to get to that 8 to 10x return on that investment, which will make you want to drive that investment number down a bit, because that is a big, big challenge. And it can be really hard to come up with enough growth to support a venture capital type of investment for this particular industry, because our bottom lines are typically under 30%. And so when you start expanding really quickly and very aggressively, if you've been in this business very long, you know there's a lot of hands-on, a lot of leadership things involved. It is not, I would say, completely straightforward. You've got a lot of social leadership, team bonding, getting everybody rowing the same direction. Maybe you've got to get AAAHC certified. You know, there's some things in this industry that can be challenging. So the most common reason to make a business plan is to go get a loan, like a small business loan or a banking loan, so that you can buy some more equipment or expand your location, or maybe move to a new location. Now that's going to be something that you want to really show what you've done so far, or be very conservative in your projections. And you'll want to get as much going for the least amount of money really possible in the beginning. You still want to create a nice blend of services. You want to make sure you don't overlap services, and you want to be extremely clear about your org chart, your definition of roles, your key players, what they bring to the table. Very clear and detailed rollout plan of how you would expand, even by a construction schedule or implementation schedule of this new different services that you're bringing in, and the cost accordingly. You'll want to show them what the capacity is for that piece of equipment, or to have a full-time staff member or a full-time equivalent handling that. And so you still do the pro formas, and you do want to show your revenue by service, and you want to justify that that's doable with your staff or your intended staff, as well as your equipment, which you're going to do in the other. But I would say the key difference between a small business loan and venture capital is you really want to shoot high and be optimistic and go big if you're dealing with venture capital funding. If you are dealing with small business or banking, you want to stay as realistic as possible, and hopefully you have maybe some track record or industry averages and things that you can bring into it, because you really have to prove more that you can do this. And then the last one, which is a really important piece that a lot of us don't do anymore, is looking at every Q4 for your business, evaluating your plan for the next year, and using a business plan or even a mini business plan to look at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for your current business, where you can take some market share, what your opportunities are, what you've had successes in that you might want to build upon. I know that for a long time, as an example of successes to build upon, once some feminine rejuvenation services came into the market that were non-surgical, people were very worried that those would be the hardest thing to sell, because it's private, people might want to talk about it. People were very nervous. Practices were really nervous. Even OBGYNs were nervous to bring these cash pay services in for feminine rejuvenation types of services. And it's been super interesting to watch it over the last years. I mean, shoot, we wrote the materials for the Mona Lisa Touch that came out through Cynosure. So I've been in this from the very, very beginning. Before I even knew it was a thing, we were getting these accounts, and I got to work with Dr. Rabin and a lot of leaders in the industry to figure out how to best position these kinds of services to our female clientele. And I will tell you what, hands down, shockingly, it has one of the highest closing ratios of any of the services, which really surprised me, because we were thinking, oh, it might be embarrassing, it might be uncomfortable to talk about, maybe people aren't ready for this, can my staff talk about this? We're treating, menopause, perimenopause, sexual dysfunction, stress urinary incontinence. Who wants to talk about that? That might be really, really hard. Turns out, if a patient asks you about that service, they're so highly qualified, or it's such a narrow service that it applies to only a couple situations, right? A couple challenges that your female client might be dealing with, that their closing ratio is so much higher than anything else. It turns out that selling things like non-surgical feminine rejuvenation is one of the highest closing ratios and the easiest things to sell. And I tell you, even still today, when I have a client that's got a fairly good menu of services and I mention maybe this was a good thing to add, they're very resistant and fearful that, well, I don't know, that might be hard for my staff to talk about, or that might be, I'm not sure if my client in this demographic is ready to deal with that. So that's just one example of really paying attention to your service mix and not making assumptions without doing the research and talking to someone that might know. Some of those things that you may be nervous about offering could be some of the easiest and best things to sell that your market might truly embrace. So if we are talking about the basic business plan of what should you be doing in Q4, which is a couple days away, to plan for next year, these are the things that I would tell you to look at. Number one, I would do a quick competition analysis by doing a digital marketing survey in your area and see who your competitors really are. Second, I would look at a SWOT analysis of where their strengths and weaknesses are and their opportunities and threats. And I wouldn't go crazy, but I would, look at their service suites, look at their response, maybe do a little secret shopping, look at some pricing, get an idea of how successful they are and how much of a threat they might be to your market share. The next step is to really do a deep dive on your own financials. Understand where your percentage of income-based expenses line up. Look at how much you're spending on marketing and really go through the return on investment and see what marketing pieces are working and which ones are not. This is the digital age and social media is critical. If it's done correctly, it can really build your business quickly. There's a lot of vendors out there offering paid social and things like that look good on the initial review, but you may not even be ready for that, and having a bunch of low quality leads rather than a few high quality leads might be the wrong direction to go. So marketing is going to be one of your larger expenditures. We see that about 5% of income needs to be dedicated to marketing in order to keep your market share. If you're a startup, during the first few months, you might spend 10 or 20% of income on that. And if you're just trying to grow, somewhere in that 7%, under 10% ratio might be what you need to invest to take your business to the next level. Now, when you look at your financials by profit center, so you're looking at your injectables, your laser hair removal, you're looking at what kind of muscle building you may do. Maybe you've got feminine rejuvenation, maybe you've got resurfacing, maybe you have some minimally invasive. You need to look at how you're currently doing on a monthly average basis and compare that against your capacity. We've done some series on capacity, understanding what is the capacity for your current location with your current staff, and even what is the capacity of a new piece of equipment that you bring in, and what are you operating at. That's going to tell you what the opportunity is right now with what you do have and the staff that you currently have. And if you're up to that 70-80% of capacity, then you are ready to look at adding maybe space or another piece of equipment. The other way to look at whether you're ready to invest in your business to provide more services or more staffing is to look at how far out you're booked. Are you booked solid 2 weeks with an injector? Are you 4 weeks out? Are you 6 weeks out? Anything out about more than 3 or 4 weeks, you really do need another injector. So you want to look at your financials both on what has happened, what the capacity is with your current setup, and how far out you're booked so that you can make good decisions on whether it is time to invest more capital. If you're really under that 60% capacity, you've got some challenges probably on retention. You need to focus on some internal SOPs, standard operating procedures, like training your front staff to make sure someone books before they leave and let them know that you're booking out several weeks or 6 weeks, so they definitely want their injectable appointment or the next 2 quarterlies on the books, things like that. You might look at, why is our retail so low? Do we have enough products? Do we need more? Is our staff excited about our products? Does our staff use our products? These are all things that go into the pro forma and really looking at the types of services you offer, whether there's room to promote those more or whether you actually do need more equipment or more staff, and then keeping in mind that retail should make up 10% of your sales, and it should be really clear what product you would direct a client to for a specific need or condition that they're trying to solve. So as you run into Q4, looking at the numbers closely is going to be very valuable, and you're looking at the income based on what I just went over, and you're looking at your expenses, anything over 1% of income. And if you need to know industry benchmarks, go on our website, check it out. We've got lots of free resources. Grab my book. You can get a free copy on the website, Projected Growth Consulting. That will really walk you through every piece that you need for your business plan in a step-by-step method. Or reach out to us and we can do one-on-one coaching to help you get this stuff done. If you haven't already grabbed our revenue predictor tool from our website, it's free on the resources tab. Definitely take that step today. Take charge of understanding what your revenue is doing on a weekly and monthly basis to understand your numbers. That would be the number one step I would tell you. If you haven't yet taken that tool and applied it, or if you're not on top of your numbers and your goals, that will help you as well as reviewing your performance to date for you to start projecting what you want to do next year. So number one, financial, okay? Then the next area I like to focus on is marketing, creating an annual marketing plan by looking at what different specials have done well in the past, what my margins are, what I really want to be selling, what are my top 3 most profitable services or services that I need to fill up the most. Make sure I highlight those a few times a year, maybe 3 times a year, maybe I do 1 quarterly event. Lay that marketing out so that you really know what your cross promotions and your events are going to look like for the entire year. That is an excellent team exercise, as well as partnering with your vendors to drive your costs down for events and promotions and door prizes and cross promotions. Use those tools that you have readily accessible and be the early bird, because you will get the worm on that one. The third area that I like to focus on is the organizational chart, who's doing what their productivity looks like, what their ratios look like in terms of rebooking, retention, how far booked are they, what sort of revenue are they creating on an hourly basis, what is their multiple. So if you're paying someone $50,000 a year as let's say they're your esthetician, you need at least a 4x return on investment to break even with that staff member. So we need to make sure that at a minimum they're producing $200,000 a year in their room if they are costing us $50,000 a year. So maybe we're paying them 40 and another 10% is their payroll taxes, and then their bonuses or their 401k takes them up to 50. They need to produce at least 200,000. And we'd like to get them up to a 5x ROI or a 5x multiple, hopefully a 6x multiple, with at least 25% of their sales coming from product sales. So those are the kind of ratios you can get from the book. You can apply those to your planning, and the banks and venture capitalists love those types of analysis within your business plan. So I'm kind of highlighting, is it for you? Is it for an SBA loan or a bank loan, or is it for a venture capitalist? And I'm just sprinkling through here, how do you really set yourself up for success for those different goals? Let's get into looking at, are you really clear on who does what in your facility? Do they have a full-time job, or do you need more staff to go to the next level? These are the things that you look at by creating a very clear org chart with those position descriptions and going through them with a fine-tooth comb. And that's really the fourth area that I focus on. So I do projections, I do capacity analysis, I look at marketing, and then I really look at the staff and the team in place so that I can see what is this whole picture. And then the other thing I mentioned in there, which would be in the top 5, would be a quick market analysis to really look at your competitors, look at what's working for them, what's not working for them, learn from your competition. Don't get obsessed. You don't need to follow them nonstop, but get an idea of what's happening in your area, where you fit in, what your unique offering is, how do you stack up against your top 3 or 4 competitors that are nearest to you. And keep in mind that that is going to be able to be seen quite a bit from just doing research online. You don't even need to go into their facility. You can do the virtual tour online. You can make a virtual inquiry, or you can make a call to kind of see what's going on with your competition. So those are my top 4 recommendations. And again, keep in mind the why. Why are you creating a business plan? You know, people, I find that less and less of my clients are going through a really detailed, huge business plan every year or every couple years for their business. Typically, they're looking at financials, capacity, roles, and marketing ROI. Those are the key elements that we're looking at when we really try to improve and run our business, versus if we are trying to get funding for expansion or really wanting to be aggressive and go out there and create several locations or a chain or a franchise. Those are very different animals. So the majority of you are probably trying to think about business planning for how do I really look at next year and optimize my performance? How do I take my profitability up to the next level? What, if any, additional staff or services should I bring on? And you can answer those questions with these elements that I'm talking about: your financials, your org chart, your position descriptions, your retention rates, how far out you're booking, understanding the capacity where you're at. Those things are right there at your fingertips. They're not difficult to figure out. If you want some one-on-one coaching, reach out to us, because we do this every day and we can make it quite easy. The book, again, my book goes into a lot of that as well, to walk you through that step-by-step guidance. And I hope this really helps you. And if you are ready to step things up and take them to the next level, Q4 is the best time to take a look at the last several years. And I'm going back 3 years right now, because 2020 was a really weird year financially for a lot of businesses. We were open, we were closed, and things like that. So go back, grab the copy of the book that you have, look at the financial planning, the annual marketing plan, how to look at your expense analysis and your marketing ROI, and then lastly, your org chart and your position descriptions. Those are the key 5 elements that you need in your business plan and that you need to look at every Q4 to continue growing your practice and your business. And we are here to help you in any way we can, whether it's executive one-on-one coaching, whether you need us to do an event to help you, whether you'd like to grab one of our really affordable courses online to take your staff through to refresh them on consultations and closing and ratios. It's all right there for you. And I am so excited for next year and a very successful 2022 for all of us. And just reach out and let us know if there's any way we can help you.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and click that notification icon to be notified every time we post a new video. And don't forget to grab your free copy of our book and all of the resources we've provided. You can find those links, as always, in the description below.